Hello, welcome back, and what a beautiful week. And this is 8-9 days after I seeded this meadow, and look at it. You'd think it was the height of spring. It certainly was the right time to seed it, and it's actually a really good decision because it's coming through really nice, and in a week or so's time, or a few weeks time, those roots will have really taken hold and it will support this bank, which is why I've sown it in the autumn and not the spring. So other things have changed too up here in the last couple of weeks. It's a bit of a mess. I'll insert some videos so you can see me doing it. But we've now got the new pond in, roughly where it's going. It's got to go back a bit into here, so there's less of an edge here. The stones, the rocks are going to go along the front there for places to overwinter and hide in. But it's pretty much as low as it's going to go, and now because it's going to be situated a lot higher than the last pond, all the earth won't constantly fall into it, which was the problem I had. All of that has come out. Like I say, you should see this in the corner now, but there was so much mud and earth and plants which have all been put into these two temporary ponds, which is really mucky. There was no oxygenator in this pond. It just shows you how a developed pond is such a good ecosystem, because despite not having any oxygenator but loads of roots for these lilies, there was not a single smell emanating from it. It's completely clean. Even the mud at the bottom didn't smell a bit. So it was a good pond, despite there being a lot of mud build up and little oxygenator, which is all going to go back into the new one. I've also managed to trap a little snail. There we go. Let's get you, because he's on an island now. Bless him. He's going for a ride. There we go. So the new pond's going to go in here. I'll have to put some stuff inside because obviously it's not a lot steeper. I don't want to trap things in there, so I'll build some rock kind of slopes at each end, figure something out, a way that things can get in and out easily. Obviously this pond isn't designed for a wildlife pond, it's a fish pond, but you know, it's recycled secondhand on an auction site, so what the heck, got to use it. The other things that have changed, well, like where the water butt was here, you used to have breeze blocks, like big concrete blocks underneath, which weren't doing anything and looking horrible. So I had a load of block paving bricks, so I've arranged those in a way, I don't know if you can see that, I've arranged them in a way that there's gaps between each section. Just about here you can see the gap there, so that animals can go in there, and there's empty chambers in the middle. Like things like that in your garden, if you've got something, a structure that isn't, you know, that's fixed, that, like in this case, that's holding up a water butt, then change it and make it something that might you find useful. This I'm hoping Newts will go in. I've filled the centre with leaves and dried leaves, and I think it's going to be quite useful. It's 6 bricks round with a kind of triangle in the centre and triangles at the front of each bit. It's kind of hard to explain. I'll maybe drop an image in of how I did it, but hopefully things will find it useful and use it as a habitat. So I'm going to crack on now. I think today I'm going to get the pond level and back in position. Like, you wouldn't think it was end of October. It's ridiculous. It's crazy hot out here. So while the weather is like this, I'm going to use it and get as much done as I can, ready for the spring. This pond here will be going roughly where it is now, and then a tiny pond which is just down there on the deck, which I've shown in videos before, just about there. That will be that one there. That's going to be put in the middle of it all, hopefully. Things are subject to change. We'll see how it goes, because it is a slope here. So if I run out of rocks for the leading edge, then I might change my mind. When you're putting in a fiberglass pond, or you know, even a liner pond, but liner ponds are a bit different because you have to be really careful about puncturing those. So you'd have you'd check for flints, and then you'd put sand down, perhaps a bit of carpet or something. But with a liner pond, with a fiberglass pond, sorry, it's not as delicate. But when you've got 5 tons of water on a pond, it's gonna exposed flint at the bottom will puncture it. So you just got to be careful. You can see there, you just dig around, you can see there's flints in this, and they're the things you need to get out, because there's another one there. Anything pointed that's quite proud, and you put that pond in and you put all that weight in, it will just crack it. So you know, it's a good thing to go over the pond, and even with fiberglass ponds, put down a layer of sand, or you know, sieved earth. That's what I'm going to use. I've got a sieve down there. I'm going to sieve some earth, put a couple of inches down, but do be sure you get the most prominent flints. And then once everything's down and the pond's full up, so when the pond's empty, another good idea is to, I'll do it from up here and show you, is to run some water down the edge of the pond, just to, it lets everything settle into any voids that are under the pond, because where you've got a void, obviously the water will push down, and if the void's big enough, it will crack the pond too. So basically just take the time to check that there's nothing that's going to puncture your pond, because there's nothing worse than filling it up and then having to empty it again. Good news with fiberglass ponds, you can do it with liners as well, you can repair them, but fiberglass ponds can be repaired, but you have to empty them. Whereas I believe there's a kit for a liner pond that you can buy that actually works underwater, but don't quote me on that. So what I did was sieve the earth I had in piles with that into buckets to make a sandy mixture, and then place that underneath. Get a long piece of wood, do it on both axes, across and lengthways, and get them level. Now what I do is, once I've got it level and I've got that sandy mixture on the bottom already, I put another couple of buckets down each side and front and back, dry, and then pour in some watering cans full of rainwater, whatever you've got, and let that settle. And what that does, it fixes it in position, because otherwise, while you're, you know, putting the earth back in, depending on what type of pond you've got and what type of liner or fiberglass pond you've used, it will move. So I put that dry mixture in, I wash it all the way round, and it naturally creates a level which fixes that pond in place. And you can see by that level that it's pretty bang on front to back. On this front edge there will be rocks, like I say, so, and then backfill it with the earth, put in some water in the bottom, because this pond is buoyant at the moment, so if you keep washing mud down to make sure it fills all the crevices and that, the pond will effectively float in there. So you need to put some weight in the bottom. So I'm going to put a few buckets full of water in there, and then, because today's still light enough, I'm going to transfer this pond, which I don't want to leave out over the winter because it's full of baby newts. It was only supposed to be a kind of surrogate pond for milfoil, to grow water milfoil in, but because there's loads of baby newts, I don't know if we can see them, they're probably at the bottom now, but I've done a video of this, but yeah, there's one floating just there. See if we can get him to show you. I don't know if you can see that on my hand, but that's a baby newt right there. There you go, you can really saw. They're obviously still gilled, which is why you have to be careful, because they haven't developed the ability to breathe out of the water yet, and they won't till next year. So this pond's going to go up into there. So moving on another week, you can see just how quickly this is growing. It's about the 5th of November, it's crazy how warm it is. It's about 22 degrees up here. It's just, it should be like 2 or 3 degrees this time of year, 5 degrees. So I've thrown some mud in the new pond from this one, just to get those organisms started and give it a kick start for next year. If you have an old pond you're changing, don't throw the mud in the bottom away. Just throw it in the new pond. Obviously if you've got too much, you won't throw it all. Generally throw some in the new pond. So we've emptied this one. This one is going here, and now the new pond is looking quite good. I've just filled it up with rainwater. Like I say, throw that mud in, potted up these iris, which are all recycled from the old pond, and this end you can see I've put the rocks in, which is going to form the ramp for amphibians and hedgehogs if they fall in, and anything else to to get out of the pond and in the pond, and frogs and what have you. So I've just, you can see there, I've just put them at an angle so that they can climb out and in from the edge there. This will all naturally fill up with vegetation and sediment, so it will form a nice bank at this end, because that's the only trouble, like I say, with these fiberglass ponds. They are meant for fish. Someone should make one for wildlife, that would be awesome, but they're made for fish, so you have to kind of adapt them a bit. So, you know, a couple of weeks in, it's looking quite good. I need some earth to fill the sides of this one, and then there'll be a rockery along this edge here with the limestone that I've got left over, and again on the edge of this one when it gets put here, and then there'll be a tiny pond just up there. So the whole place is looking, it's obviously it's a work in progress, but it's looking a bit of a tip at the moment, but it's getting there. In the spring we'll be ready. There'll be a point soon when the temperature does drop, that I'll have to give up and just wait for the spring, but it's coming along. And then next year will be the big pond. That's going to get changed for a fiberglass one too. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. All the money that's made on this channel, which isn't a lot, does go to saving rainforests. So the more you share with your friends and like, the better it is for the rainforest. I'm just about to donate £50, which is what I got from the first payment of Google. So thanks to everyone who supported me and watched me, because that's half an acre of rainforest right there, so it's definitely worth doing. And also the habitats that I've made, they've gone to charity as well. A portion of it's gone to charity, so there's more acreage there. So thanks again. I promise this will be the last video. I keep saying that and then I keep doing more, but if I don't do any more, have a great Xmas, Christmas, whatever you call it, and I'll see you in the spring.
Wishing